Imagine, what if the world as we know it today was not what it is? Now let's take a moment and journey with me into a parallel universe, a world that mirrors ours in many ways but is fundamentally different in one stark aspect. In this alternative reality, the chains of slavery were never broken. The Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment, the Civil Rights movements, all these milestones in our history that we take pride in never occurred. In this world, the rhythm of everyday life beats to a different drum. It's a world where every job, from the most menial to the most complex, is undertaken not by free individuals but by slaves. The streets, the houses, the fields, the factories, they are all teeming with people who are bound by the shackles of servitude. The contrast with our world is as stark as night and day. The world we know is a place where people have the freedom to choose, to aspire, to dream. We live in a society where each individual, regardless of their background, has the potential to rise above their circumstances. But in this parallel universe, that's a distant dream. There, the concept of self-determination is as foreign as the idea of slavery is to us. The rich in this world, they live a life of leisure and luxury, unburdened by the demands of work. Their days are spent in opulence, their hands unsoiled by labor. They sit around, engrossed in the latest technology, their smartphones acting as windows to a world beyond their immediate reality. Yet, they remain oblivious. Oblivious to the sweat and blood that fuels their lifestyle, to the hardship and toil that exists just beyond the periphery of their comfortable existence. They are blind to the stark disparities and the gross injustice that is the fabric of their world. In this world, the rich recline leisurely, engrossed in their smartphones, oblivious of the toil and hardship around them. Delve deeper into the lives of the slaves in this alternate reality. Imagine waking up each day before the sun, not to the sound of an alarm clock, but to the harsh crack of a whip. This is the reality for countless individuals in this alternate world, where the institution of slavery remains unchallenged. The daily routines of these slaves are dictated by the whims of their masters. From the break of dawn, they toil ceaselessly, their duties as diverse as the households they serve. Some labor in the fields, their backs bent under the scorching sun, while others find themselves confined within the walls of opulent mansions, attending to the every need of their wealthy owners. Their lives are a continuous cycle of work, with scarce moments of respite. The concept of a weekend or a holiday, a basic right we take for granted, is foreign to them. Their only break is the few precious hours of sleep they snatch in the dead of night, often on bare floors or in cramped quarters. The challenges they face extend beyond the physical. They are denied basic human rights and freedoms. They cannot choose where they live, who they work for, or even who they love. They cannot vote, voice their opinions, or protest against their treatment. In essence, they are not considered individuals but property. The conditions they endure are harsh and often inhumane. They work long hours in grueling conditions, with little to no regard for their health or well-being. They are subjected to physical and emotional abuse, a harsh reality that is an accepted part of their existence. In this alternate reality, the slaves live a life of perpetual servitude, their hopes and dreams smothered under the oppressive weight of their chains. They are robbed of their potential, their future dictated by the circumstances of their birth. Their lives, a stark reminder of a past we have worked hard to leave behind. Now cast your gaze upon the lives of the rich, living in their gilded cages. In this alternate reality where slavery was never abolished, the divide between the rich and the rest is stark and unyielding. Picture a world where every whim and desire of the wealthy is catered to by others, where the labor of many supports the lifestyle of a privileged few. Their days are filled with leisure and luxury, punctuated only by the occasional interaction with those who serve them. They wake up in the morning to breakfasts prepared by skilled hands, not their own. They are dressed by others, driven to their destinations by others, their homes maintained by others. They do not work, they do not toil. Their time is their own to spend on pursuits of pleasure and amusement. The rich in this world, they indulge in extravagant hobbies, from sailing on private yachts to globe-trotting on a whim. They attend soirees and galas, their lives a whirlwind of social engagements and parties. They live in opulent mansions, surrounded by all the trappings of extreme wealth. Yet, There is a profound disconnect between their lives and the world around them. They are insulated from the harsh realities of the world they have created. They do not see the sweat and the tears that go into maintaining their lifestyles. They do not know the names of those who serve them, nor do they care to learn. They are cocooned in their privilege, oblivious to the cost of their comfort. Their wealth, their leisure, their luxury, all come at a price paid by those they keep in bondage. They live off the fruits of others' labor, oblivious to the suffering and hardship that sustains their existence. Their lives, a testament to the power of unchecked privilege. In this world, where every job is done by a slave, the rich are not just wealthy, they are the ultimate beneficiaries of an unjust system, an embodiment of the vast inequality that slavery perpetuates. Their lives, a testament to the power of unchecked privilege. But what are the unseen consequences of such a world? Let's delve deeper into the societal and psychological implications of a world where slavery was never abolished. In an alternate 2024, where every job is done by a slave, society is split into two starkly contrasting halves, the rich and the slaves. This division has profound effects not only on the individuals, but also on the overall societal fabric. First, let's consider the slaves. Living in perpetual servitude, they are stripped of their basic human rights. Their lives, filled with hard labor and devoid of any personal freedom, are a constant struggle. The psychological toll of such existence is immense. The lack of self-determination and constant subjugation lead to feelings of hopelessness and despair. These feelings are then passed down from generation to generation, creating a cycle of emotional trauma. Then there's the rich. Seemingly the beneficiaries of this system, they live a life of leisure, their every whim catered to. But beneath the surface, the reality is far from ideal. Dependence on slaves for every task stunts their own growth and development. They never learn to fend for themselves, their skills and abilities atrophy due to disuse. The constant fear of rebellion or uprising also creates a sense of unease and insecurity. But the implications of such a world extend beyond the individual level. The societal fabric is deeply affected. With the rich and slaves living in parallel yet separate worlds, empathy and understanding are lost. Society becomes divided, filled with resentment and mistrust. Furthermore, the reliance on slave labor hampers progress and innovation. With no need to improve efficiency or develop new technologies, society stagnates. And a society that does not innovate, that does not evolve, is a society that is doomed to fail. This paints a grim picture of a world where slavery was never abolished, a society built on the backs of others, yet crumbling under its own weight. Now let's reflect on our own world and the echoes of this alternate reality we can still hear. In this alternate, unevolved timeline, we've seen a world where slavery has never been abolished, a world where the division between the haves and the have-nots is stark and unapologetic. It may seem far removed from our reality, yet it's worth asking ourselves, how distant is it really? In our own world, we've made great strides in the face of inequality, yet we can't deny that there are still traces of this past, echoes of a time when human beings were treated as commodities, rather than individuals with rights and freedoms. In our society, the remnants of this past can still be seen in the racial disparities that persist, in the systemic bias that continues to create barriers for minority groups, in the wealth gap that remains stubbornly wide. Many people, regardless of their skin color, are still trapped in cycles of poverty and exploitation. And just as in the alternate reality, where every job is done by a slave, we can see parallels in our world. Consider the sweatshops where workers toil in appalling conditions for meager wages, or the migrant laborers who work under oppressive regimes. It's not outright slavery, yet it bears uncomfortable similarities. In the alternate world, we saw a society where everyone not a slave was rich, lounging with their smartphones. In our world, too, technology has created an illusion of distance from the harsh realities of labor. We may not see the hands that assemble our smartphones, yet they exist, often in less than ideal conditions. From this imagined world, we can learn valuable lessons. We can recognize the importance of vigilance in safeguarding human rights, the necessity of constant progress, the need for empathy and understanding. As we look around, we must ask ourselves, are we truly free from the chains of the past, or are they just less visible now?